Hi, so there are three ways by which heat can be transferred: conduction, convection, and radiation. Conduction occurs when you have a hotter object touching a colder object. I think the best example is here on a stove. Okay, I have initially, at least when I cook, a saucepan that's cold. Okay, and I've got my hot plate. The hot plate gets hot. Okay, obviously not right now. And because the saucepan's here, the molecules have more kinetic energy on average on the ring, okay? And so those molecules bump into what on average are less warm molecules. And so they bump, and then there's a net transfer of kinetic energy to the colder object, and therefore the internal energy is transferred from the hotter object to the colder object, and that's what we refer to as conduction. One thing we realized very initially is that different things conduct differently. We've got a ton of plastic around this house. Apart from the fact that it will melt, is there a good reason why I shouldn't use this to make cookware? One of the reasons why we don't use ceramic cookware as much as we do metal cookware, although we do actually. In Chinese cooking you have clay pots. And the reason why we use metal a lot is because metals typically are very good conductors of heat. Plastics somewhat less so. And one fact is, okay, my kid doesn't get fed out of these spoons. Apart from the fact that it might get a little sharp here, the other reason for safety is that plastic tends to be a slightly worse conductor than metal. And as a result, the energy doesn't transfer as quickly. Okay? It is for the same reason that we have pot holders. Pot holders are worse conductors than metals. And so if I want to take something out of my oven, I will use my pot holder so that I don't get burnt. Another little factoid that you should be aware of is that typically, because gases are so much less dense than solids or liquids, solids and liquids are much better conductors of heat than gases. So some methods of insulation, a lot of methods of insulation rely on basically trapping a layer of air between two solids. So for example, we have double glazing, okay, where you have two layers of glass and there's a layer in between, and that air acts as insulation. The other way we can see this sometimes is when we have people having houses that have two layers of brick, and those houses rely on the air in the middle for insulation. A slightly harder to see example here is our jackets and down or something like that. And part of these are not good conductors. They are clearly insulators. But the other thing they do traps actually a layer of air. Okay, it traps air in there. This air doesn't move very well, and therefore it acts as an insulator.